hospital for treatment. They both survived, but little Tien wasn't so lucky. The collision sent him flying through the air like a ragdoll. He traveled more than 10 meters before hitting the ground with extreme force. He likely died instantly. In the aftermath, the train conductor was absolved of any fault. He had sounded his horn repeatedly for 13 seconds in the lead-up to the collision, and immediately applied the emergency brakes when he saw that the truck was beginning to cross, despite his warning. Online, people have been debating whether the grandfather was unaware of the approaching train, or simply impatient and tried to beat it over the tracks. Being generous, maybe he didn't see the train because it was obscured by these trees. Maybe he didn't hear the horn with the noise of his own engine. Maybe he just didn't realize how close the train was. I suppose those are all possibilities. Not that they'd absolve him of any fault. He should have still been careful. But perhaps the accident occurred not because the grandfather was careless or thick-headed, rather because he was criminally reckless. Turning back to this shot of the truck, if we zoom in, we can see that the grandfather was sitting on the right-hand side of the vehicle. Thing is, in Vietnam, steering wheels are situated on the left-hand side. Though the image quality isn't crystal clear, many say that it's enough to prove the grandfather was in the passenger's seat, and he did not only let 12-year-old Lum drive the vehicle, but had directed her to do so over a particularly dangerous train crossing. Though damn it's true, that remains speculation. An investigation into the incident is ongoing. This is the Tinder profile of Miguel Cortez Miranda, a bacteriological chemist who lived in the Iztacalco district of Mexico City. The curated photos and accompanying blurb painted the picture of an intelligent, mild-mannered, and compassionate man. He worked in various laboratories, spoke 3 languages, was an outspoken vegan, a fluoride scientist and feminist, and dabbled in the arts, acting in stage plays and writing poems. At those swapping past, Miguel would have appeared to be a cultured, respectable, and above all, normal individual. That perception recovers on April 16th, 2024. On that morning, Miguel entered the apartment of his 17-year-old downstairs neighbor, Maria Jose Castillo Calles. Security cameras captured him approaching Maria's door moments after her mother, Cassandra, left to run a quick errand. According to Miguel, he had snuck into their unit several times in the past, but on this occasion was surprised to find it wasn't empty. Maria demanded that he leave immediately, and then Miguel insisted that he hadn't come to hurt her. He later claimed his mind went blank. When Cassandra returned shortly after, she found Miguel inside her daughter's bedroom, standing over her lifeless body. In a panic, but not wanting to leave any witnesses, Miguel stabbed Cassandra in the neck and back, and even attempted to push her from the window. Cassandra scratched at Miguel's face and screamed to the people below for help. Thankfully, neighbors who heard her cries managed to restrain Miguel before he could escape the building. They held him until the police turned up. But although they arrived in time to save Cassandra's life, it was too late for Maria. She'd been overpowered, stabbed, and asphyxiated. When investigators entered Miguel's apartment, the nature of the case shifted almost immediately. Laden throughout the flat, personal items and ID cards belonged to 20 women. Some of them were officially missing. Some of them had been found dead years prior, and some were still alive. More disturbingly, they found 5 human skulls, bone saws, a box containing bones and congealed blood, and diaries in which Miguel detailed his crimes. According to the police, Miguel had been operating as a serial killer for over a decade, and may have disposed of his victims' remains using acid from his lamp. Officially, only a small number of victims could be confirmed through forensic evidence. Miguel himself would later suggest that he had killed more than 30 women. Many of his victims were people from within his immediate environment. Neighbors like Maria, friends like Amira and Clara Gonzalez, co-workers like Viviana Elizabeth Garrido Ibarra, and girlfriends who he met through his favorite hunting ground, Tinder. One suspected victim of this, Karen Orneas Baltasar, had been found dead in 2018 after her 21st birthday celebration. The party had been held in Miguel's apartment, and after the festivities, he offered to walk her to the subway. She was never seen alive again. Another, Claudia Andrea Aguila Sanchez, had been dating Miguel for only a few short months when she was found lifeless inside her own apartment in December 2019. Despite obvious signs of foul play, such as her phone being missing and someone accessing her bank account after her death, a COD was chalked up to respiratory arrest, and the authorities chose not to investigate further. Due to laziness or incompetence, or in all likelihood a mix of both, they failed to connect all of the missing persons cases and femicides back to Miguel. Following his arrest, netizens tracked down Miguel's Facebook profile. Then, they found photos that he had posted, showing him alongside one of his confirmed victims, Rita Sofia Lima Rivera. She disappeared back in 2015. Everyone assumed that she had returned to live with her parents in Morelos. Nobody suspected that the manic chemist pictured with her had anything to do with her sudden vanishing. Even when, 4 days after she went missing, he changed his Facebook profile picture to a weeping sugar skull. On that same profile, he also found a poem which he had written, titled, "I Will Miss You." At the time, none of his friends saw it as anything other than a creative writing exercise. But in hindsight, many now believe that it was written about Rita.
You have outstanding approval odds for a personal loan. The right loan could help you consolidate debt, cover big expenses, or give you...
Some time ago, I saw you die. You died buried beneath small shards of glass. Your skin was still changed you to a scarlet red. I placed you on an altar and cried at your feet. I decided to stay with you, rather with your lifeless body. For a moment, I believed you would run to meet me, with your hands raised to embrace me. But it wasn't so. I thought you would take my hand, but it never happened. I even believed that when I was beside you, you would give me a shy kiss. But I only believed it, because it never came to pass. During questioning, Miguel remained composed. He spoke calmly and eloquently with investigators. He didn't display any kind of visible panic. A psychological assessment described him as a narcissistic and arrogant psychopath who craved attention, and no he was frustrated he wasn't receiving fan mail. To try and increase his notoriety, Miguel later called the relatives of his victims from behind bars and taunted them. That included the family of Maria Jose. Her sister, Fernanda, recalled how on April 10th, 2025, Miguel had somehow contacted her private number. Through the line, she called him a killer, for which Miguel reportedly laughed and then coldly stated, "Yes, I may be a killer, but I don't regret a single thing I did to your sister, or the other women." Frustratingly, before the case could be fully examined, it came to an abrupt close. On April 13th, 2025, the same day he was scheduled to attend a hearing, Miguel Cortez Miranda was found unresponsive inside his isolated cell, having fallen from his bunk. He was taken to hospital, but was pronounced dead hours later. This later said that the corpse was, quote, intoxication that led to cardiac arrest, though it remains unclear what the intoxicant was or how he had obtained it. With Miguel gone, there was no trial, no complete reconstruction of events, and no definitive answer to the most important questions of all. Like, how many lives did the monster of Iztacalco really claim? And how many of them did he lure in using these very photos? Rasha Raghuvanshi was a 29-year-old businessman from Indore, India. Friends described him as hard-working, soft-spoken, the type of guy who followed a fairly traditional path in life. On May 11th, 2025, he tied the knot with 25-year-old Sonam Raghuvanshi in an arranged marriage. Despite clearly having to say in the matter, both Rasha and Sonam were said to have been happy with their parents' choice of partner, and they spent 4 months getting to know each other all the way. The ceremony was photographed from every angle, the beginning of what was expected to be a long future together. A week after the sending of the happy couple's snapped, Raja and Sonam left for their honeymoon in Mikale, a remote mountainous region known for its dense forests and beautiful valleys. On May 22nd, they made the journey down thousands of stone steps to reach one of the area's most well-known landmarks, a living root bridge formed from intertwined tree roots. They stayed overnight in a small homestay in Novriat village, and the following morning began the long climb back up toward the main road. At some point along that route, something went wrong, and Raja and Sonam disappeared. By the evening of May 23rd, both of their phones had gone silent. A final call had been made to Sonam's family earlier that afternoon, but contact abruptly ceased. The next day, the couple's rented scooter was found abandoned by the roadside, with no clear indication of where they'd gone or what had happened to them. But the terrain offered a straightforward explanation. The pair had fallen somewhere along the trail. In a place like that, such an accident wouldn't have been unusual. However, a local guide claimed to have seen the missing couple near Waysordong Viewpoint, 3 men shortly before they disappeared. June 2nd, Raja's body was spotted by a tremor at the bottom of a deep gorge near the Waysordong Falls. It had been there for days and was partially decomposed, but his brother was able to identify him by the tattoo on his hand. Thing is, Raja hadn't ended up there by accident. His throat had been slit with a machete. His wallet, gold jewelry, and wedding ring had been taken, and his new bride, Sonam, was nowhere to be found. For more than 2 weeks, her disappearance had everyone worried. Her family suggested that she may have been abducted by whoever had killed her husband. But then, on June 9th, Sonam appeared alive and well at a police station in Uttar Pradesh, not to make a report, but to hand herself in. According to reports, Sonam hadn't been a victim at all. The trip to Meghalaya hadn't been a honeymoon in the traditional sense, but something with a different outcome in mind. Police claim that the bride was involved in an extramarital affair with her co-worker, Raj Kushwaha. Rather than face the social and familial consequences of turning down her arranged marriage with Raja, she and her lover hired 3 contract killers to travel to Meghalaya after the wedding and remove him from the picture. Phone records are said to place the hitmen in the area at the same time as the newlyweds. The prosecution's theory was that Raja had been lured into a vulnerable position along the route, attacked, and then disposed of in the village. Despite turning herself in, Sonam denies any involvement. The 3 alleged hitmen, as well as Sonam's father, Mr. Kushwaha, have since been arrested. As it stands, the investigation into the killing is still ongoing, but prosecutors are confident that Sonam and her accomplices intentionally took Raja's life. With all that context, this wedding photo doesn't show the beginning of the union, but rather the final performance of one. Because, allegedly, at the time it was taken, Sonam was already conspiring to kill her new husband. Raja's family are calling for the death penalty if any of the accused are found guilty. As a side note, on Gyaras, the 11th day of the lunar fortnight, Raja's brother and sister-in-law welcomed a baby boy into the world. As Raja himself was also born on Gyaras, they named the child after his late uncle. Within the family, there was a divine sense that Raja had returned. This message is sponsored by Raycon. With the weather turning nicer this time of year, I like to get out of the house as much as possible. And as usual when I throw these Raycon's everyday clip earbuds, and they pretty quickly become the pair that I reach for over everything else. I've been using these every day since I got them. Whether I'm out walking or running errands, they just fit into my routine without any effort. The clip's made from this nickel titanium memory belt, so it's incredibly light, but still holds its shape. It gently secures to your ear without any pressure, and once they're on, you forget you're even wearing them. No slipping, no adjusting, nothing digging in. Just solid all-day comfort. No sleep is the open air design. I live in a busy city, and I need to keep my ears open to the world. I can listen to the Beatles with that same clear and balanced audio that I've come to expect from them. But at the same time, I can still hear the traffic and people around me. It just feels a lot safer. It means I can keep my connection, and the battery is solid. I think it once a week. The quality holds up against friends that was long. And if you don't like them, there's a 30-day guarantee. The Everyday Clip earbuds are the perfect addition to your everyday routine. Go to buyraycon.com/mystoryclip for 15%. Thanks Raycon for sponsoring. Felipe Camiroaga have been a fixture on Chilean television for years. In 2011, he was one of the country's most recognizable and trusted public figures. More composed and quietly charismatic, he built a reputation that extended well beyond entertainment. On September 2nd of that year, he and several other members of TVN, including production staff and fellow journalist Roberto Cruz, ordered a Casa C-212 transport aircraft in Santiago. Their destination was the remote Robinson Crusoe Airport on Juan Fernandez Island. The purpose of the trip was to report on reconstruction efforts following the 2010 earthquake and tsunami. That evening, back on the mainland, viewers across Chile were tuned into a live broadcast on TVN when the program was suddenly interrupted. The host stepped in with some breaking news. The aircraft carrying Felipe and his team had gone missing during its approach to the island. As the plane neared its destination, severe, unpredictable crosswinds made landing difficult. The pilots attempted multiple approaches, circling the island as they tried to line up with the short runway. On the final attempt, witnesses on the ground saw the aircraft descend more sharply than expected before disappearing from view completely. It went down in the Pacific Ocean, just off the island's coast. All 21 people on board were killed. During searches of the seabed, a plastic water bottle was found among the debris. Inside it, investigators discovered an SD card. The file contained 409 images, photos from the morning and afternoon of the flight. What really caught their attention were the last two, the first of which was this. Initially, it appeared to be nothing more than an accidental click of the shutter, not showing the carpeted floor of the cabin. But in context, it becomes something much more chilling, because the metadata confirmed that it had either been taken just before or immediately after the crash. Only a cropped version of this image has been released to the public. The last image, and arguably the more eerie of the two, shows a close-up shot of one of the plane's windows. If taken just before the plane crashed, then this dark line here may be the island in the distance, obscured by raindrops running down the window. But some have argued that this dark line is actually the ocean, filling half the frame. If that's true, then someone, likely photographer Romina Irarrázaval, had survived the initial impact and chose to document what was happening inside the cabin as it began to sink. In a final, deliberate act, that individual then placed the SD card inside the bottle to protect it, giving us a blurry glimpse into what their final moments looked like.
In this game, your heroes will die. Alone. With every defeat, a new hero takes on. A new journey begins, just as deadly for another rookie hero. However, the relics those predecessors earned can be kept, and creatures once tamed will still fight alongside you. Each run, your hero goes further.
This coach was a 21-year-old British woman in London.
What's up,
At the University of Leeds.
boy?
Where you can't get what you want, but you can get things. So let's set out and see. 'Cause you are my medicine, when you're close to me. The coal and the submarines run the world will go. Does anybody know if we're looking out on the day of another dream? If you can't get what you want, then come with me. Up on Melancholy Hill, sits the manatee. Just looking out for the day when
Yo sé, ella me dijo
you're close to me.
que